Hey team, I wanted to make a little demonstration, an informative video for anyone new to Kickbox cardio or anyone considering joining us on a weekly basis. Just some of the basics in regards to our stance and how we throw a punch, like how we hold our fists. One of the very first things that we start with is our fighting stance, and we always start with our feet hip width apart and we take one step back with a slight bend to the knee. That gives us a more stable stance, and I want to demonstrate why that stance is more helpful and important. With my son is going to help me with this bit. So if we was to stand just straight on like this, I just want to demonstrate how easy it is to be pushed backwards. So sure, you're just going to go flying backwards, right? Now change that into your fighting stance with your split stance here. Go again. It gives me a more stable it gives me a more stable position so that I can not fall backwards. Thank you. So that's our first one, our fighting stance. Look, this gives us the power, it gives us the opportunity to benefit out, to move our weight into our feet. And if someone pushes against us, we can push forward. Whereas straight on, we're just going to topple backwards. So that's the first one, with your fighting stance. Start again, hip width apart, one step back. Toes slightly pointing out, knees soft. And then we have our guard. So with our guard, right, we want to protect our ribs and we want to protect our chin. Because those are going to be our vulnerable spots. If we get caught in the chin, it can knock us out. If we get caught in the ribs, it's going to wind us. So we keep our fists up. We've got one hand here. If we are fight stance, this is our leading hand, and we have one hand here. Then we've got our elbows tucked in nice to our ribs. And when we move around, we can block. This is a defense, okay? We can block. And you know, if you wanted to, you can put your hands up in front of your face. You're protecting your face and your nose. So we're thinking about protecting the vulnerable parts. Our chin, our ribs. Okay, second part is actually throwing a punch. And we want to think about how we position our hands to make a fist. We don't want to do this. To do that, you're going to punch hard, you could dislocate your thumb. Right, so we want to start with our palms up, curl your fingers into your palm to make a fist, and we tuck our thumbs on the outside. Okay, and we want to strike with that nice flat part of the hand. We lead kind of like with the knuckles. There's a bit of a glide, but we want to hit with that firm part of our hand. If you hit with your knuckles again, you risk causing damage to your wrist, you risk breaking your knuckles. So we want a flat fist, and we're keeping our thumbs on the outside, okay? So that is how we form a fist. I hope it's not too light. So from there, we would extend the hand fully. And with the back leg, we always kind of bring the heel up, pivot to bring that arm forward. Now, not only are we extending our arms, so we could extend our arms like this, right? That's pretty flimsy. We don't want to just do that. We're not gonna have much of an impact with this. We want to put our power behind that punch, and we do that by pivoting and bringing the power from our hips, our leg, our lats, our shoulders. So we are not just swinging around our arms. We are bringing power behind those punches by pivoting our feet and using our whole body to drive that punch forward. Okay? So leading hand is always the jab, back hand is our cross. So that's some of the basics of punches. And then we have our kicks. Now with the kicks, they come from the rear, or they come from the front. We mostly work in Kickbox cardio on the front, and we normally take a step forward before we execute our kick. Now what I want you to think about here is knee position. It's very hard So we would always want to come side on. So if we're doing a roundhouse or a hook kick or a side kick, then we need our hips to be side on. So therefore we need our knee to go in that direction. So otherwise you're going to end up like hurting your knee. So when we step, we pivot the foot, bring the knee up, extend for the kick. So we're still in that split stance as we step, pivot the foot, making room for the knee to travel in the direction that we need it to. Like if you try like step forward and it's very hard. I don't recommend trying it, but you need to open up that foot and pivot. Unless of course you're doing the front kick, because the kick is coming from the front and then we're going to step into it. Now, the front kick is a good one for us to learn. It's a basic kick, it does the job, and you don't have to think about where your foot is positioned. You can just step into it, and all we're going to do is bring the leg up and extend from the hip. And from there as well, you can also kick upwards, and I'm sure without me saying it, you know what I'm talking about, what you're aiming for, if you ever need to do anything like that. Okay, and then in terms of self-defense, because I do think it's very important for us to discuss that, elbows, knees are always going to have a big, a harder impact because of the bony area. So if you're ever in a situation, your brain's gone blur, and you just, I don't know, you might need to defend yourself, think about a knee to the stomach, a knee to the nether regions, a knee to the ribs. That's going to hurt someone, and hopefully double them over and you've got time to run away. Do you know what I mean? Elbow, that's going to hurt someone if you get them in the face. Think about from behind, swift elbow, or even behind, up into their chest or their ribs. So in terms of self-defense, always remember knees, elbows, upwards into someone's chin. They're just going to have a harder impact if you need to buy yourself some time and get out of there. So what I would always recommend, because these are non-impact classes, we're not no contact, it's very easy to go through the motions of a punch, but you're still learning the basics, you're learning the stances, you're learning how to execute a punch properly, you're learning how to put your power behind. But I would always recommend, if you can, giving it a go on an actual punch bag or with someone holding some pads for you. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need to wrap your hands and you're going to need to get some boxing gloves. Because otherwise it's going to hurt your wrists, and you're going to get friction burn on your knuckles. You can pick them up. We used to be able to pick them up at a decent price at places like Sports Direct. Not too sure anymore, but some gyms have got the punch bags, and they normally would have gloves in a box somewhere near it as well. So I would always recommend, if you can, giving this a go on a punch bag or getting someone to hold some pads for you, just so you can actually feel what it's like when you impact. Put those skills to some use to practice, and also get confident with the movements. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of some of the basics of the movements, and the ways that it can translate to self-defense. And I hope that none of you ever have to use those skills, but I would rather you have those skills than not. And I think one of the most important ones is that stance. It gives you a much more solid base, and also knowing how to hold your fists for those punches, keeping the thumbs on the outside, and putting your weight behind big swings. Always think about like a hook, bring it around side of someone's face, or uppercut right to their chin. But anyway, yes, so join me for Kickbox cardio, learn some new skills, get the confidence with it, give it a go on the punch bag or some pads, and it's very therapeutic, I must say, smashing some pads. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the class soon.